Well, first of all, I'd like to say hello and welcome to the parents' evening. Thank you for turning up because I know you've got very busy lives. You probably had to steal a computer from the children in order to do this. So thank you very much indeed. We're going to have a look tonight at what you can expect for your children over the next couple of years. It's a big stage. They're moving on to the IGCSEs. And this is going to give you a little bit of a run through of what the expectations are and what you have to do as parents and your child has to do. So if there's any questions, we're happy to take those at the end. If they're urgent and you think you're going to forget, obviously just interrupt me. That's fine. I'm used to that. I teach children. So this is a run through of what's happening now. So they're taught as a 2-year course. Most of our courses, by and large, are taught with Cambridge International Exam Board, with the exception of psychology, which is with the AQA Exam Board, and music, which is with OCR, which can only be taken in the UK. So if your child is into music, you might have to organise somehow for an exam over in the UK. Okay, and most of the courses are given 2 to 4 hours per week per subject. But for example, in biology, there's 2 hours. And the sciences is 2 hours, but English and maths, it'll take a little bit more. So that's the expectation there. So what do we offer here? We offer a British education to children from all over the world. And it's fabulous. It's something that you can't get anywhere else. At the moment, we've got children from Australia, Venezuela, Europe, the Middle East. It's amazing. It's a really special magic school. Where you will get that ability for your child to mix with children that they wouldn't ordinarily mix with, which we love. You get a vast breadth of study, and later in the slides you'll see the different subjects and the broad spectrum of subjects that are studied at this online school. The flexibility is about, normally in the UK, when you're in high school, it's a 5-year course, but with the IGCSE here online, it's 4 years, 2 in Key Stage 3, and 2 years for the IGCSE. Now, the benefit of that is if you've got a really able child and you think, oh, year 7's too easy for them, you can move them up. And so you've got flexibility before they start their GCSEs to have a look at where your child might be best placed. Hi, Rachel, welcome. But you've also got the ability to look at for the GCSEs, and we've got children doing this 2-year course. They'll have finished their GCSEs early, but some children, and we've got an example of this, have decided to take their time, and normally it's 5 years in any case. It'll be the right age for A level, no matter whether to stay on or go elsewhere. And they might do half of their GCSEs in L4 and then still keep studying in L3, which allows a child, if they're weaker at certain subjects, to repeat that year if they choose. So it can go at your child's pace. All children have got different abilities and different issues and things that they find easy, things that they find harder. And I think the benefit, and I've seen that hugely because I've got over 20 years teaching in schools, the advantage of online is 1, they've got the recording, and 2, you can actually know your child very well. You'll know your child better than anyone on the planet. And so you can say, right, I think my kid's excelling in this and they need to move on. They don't need what school would offer, which would be 3 years in Key Stage 3, which is normally age 11 to 14. So that's a huge benefit for children who are high functioning and actually just want to move on and be stretched further. So you've got those advantages. They're prepared brilliantly for their exams. We're very, very good at that. And the advantage again is you've got the recordings. The children can watch a lesson again and again until it clicks. And if not, they can email a teacher direct and get one-to-one sessions talking about something, mini recordings from their own particular subjects, which I think is a huge advantage and children really, really benefit from. You've also got preparation for your post-16. So where do you want to go? What are you looking at? And we do talk to children about what they'd like to study next, and all of the time we're evaluating our curriculum and what we offer. But the children, by means of the expectations for GCSE and the expectation to finish assignments that are set and to learn how to time manage, that really does prepare children in a really positive way for A level. Okay, so pupil engagement is at the heart of what we do. And the lessons are only as active and as fun as the children make them, actually, because the teachers can prepare anything in the world. But unless the relationships are good and unless children are encouraged by yourselves to really take full part in lessons, to have discussions, to have the courage to stand up and get it wrong publicly and still plow through. We help children with that, because the truth is, if children won't speak up and they're going to go off to do A levels and they've got brilliant GCSEs, but they can't communicate effectively, we would have failed. So we do need the children to be very much part of the lesson, and where they are part of the lesson, we've got fabulous learning going on. And I have to say, by and large, children are excellent at that, and they're very, very, very encouraging of children who are a bit more shy. And I think we've got room for everybody. You've got a mix of individuals and group tasks. We've got little rooms we can put kids into different rooms. Sometimes the girls say, can we stick together? And say, sometimes you can, but sometimes actually no. You're going to have to cope with somebody different today and learn to get on with your peers. And they do, and they really, rise to the challenge. We give constructive feedback. We mark their homeworks. They can have one-to-one feedback. We can give verbal feedback, written feedback. And that can be direct to the child, and even in a lesson you can say to a child, I'll take you into another room, and while the others are working, go into another room and give them feedback individually through the lesson, as well as afterwards when we as staff are marking them in the evenings. The class notebook's fabulous because everything's there. It's all online. They can cut and paste things from the internet that might help and aid their learning. Video links, I always encourage video links, because they can hear me, but after a point they're like, oh, Mrs. Graham, I want to hear something else. Get a most appropriate video from the internet, from YouTube, download it, put a clip into your notes. Get a diagram that might mean more to you, something visual learning, into your notes at that point. So lessons are given in the form of presentations. We provide the resources. We guide learning as much as we can, because actually it's not about the children handwriting in the olden days when they're sitting writing from a board and copying notes. That's a skill, but it's not actually about learning. That's about being able to copy fast and have neat handwriting. We're much more about, here are the notes, let's have a look at them, let's discuss them, let's work around that, and developing their knowledge so that the children are actually retaining and assimilating information all through their learning. And lessons are recorded. So if your child can't be there, many of the children are doing different sports and they're busy across the board doing lots of other things, they're recorded. No problem. My child's had COVID. We're really sorry. We'll send loads of love. We'll send catch-up lessons. Catch up when you can. The lessons are recorded. You've got holidays. You don't get that anywhere else. And I think that helped hugely for loads of different reasons. Other priorities at home, sickness, or just busy because, you're a champion swimmer of the world. Crack on, your lessons are there. But we do expect that the children catch up within a given time. Okay, not too delayed. So if we have a look now, pupil well-being is at the heart, definitely, and I think you can tell by the way I'm speaking about the kids. We've got fabulous kids, and we care very much about how they are and how they're getting on and how they relate to each other, mentally and academically and socially. All of these things are hugely important. So know that we as a staff love the kids, love our job, and are there to support them to be the best they can be. So we are approachable. If your child found somebody that wasn't approachable and said that teacher's a bit scary, that's why you've got Mrs. Knight and myself sitting here, because you've got heads of lower school and upper school, and you've got Mrs. Trafford sitting there too. So you've got lots of different forms, so you can contact different people if you thought, I'm a bit worried about this, or my child's a bit anxious about what have you. So know that that's what it's all about for the moment, in terms of we as a staff, we're here for you, we're here for the child. We will communicate with you as best we can through emails. It's busy time. I'm getting to know lots of the parents of some of the groups that I don't teach, and you've all been fabulous, so thank you for that. And your feedback's wonderful, and I really appreciate that. But we will work together. So if you've got an issue, you email the teacher first if you like, but you've got the heads of year, myself and Mrs. Knight, waiting at the end of the line. So if there's something worrying your child, please don't wait. Get them to communicate with us. We're not scary. And if your child doesn't want to, please by all means communicate, and feel free to get in touch whenever you need to. So what kind of support can you offer your child? And these are the basics. If these things are right, we don't have a problem. So make sure your child has access to good internet connection, their own laptop, a desktop, headphones, a mic that are working, because you might say, oh, you've got your laptop, but check the camera's working, check with your child that it's working and they're not getting any grief in lessons, say, turn your camera on and they think it's on, that kind of stuff. If you're anything like me, bit of a Luddite, sometimes when computers go wrong, you need some input. Do ask us, because sometimes another parent's had the same issue and we might together be able to solve any issues. Please check that your child's doing the homework, not just pressing the turned in button. Because of the internet, kids can access anything. Kids are cleverer than us, let's face it, they're way ahead of the times. We set an assignment. When they finish the assignment in their homework folders, they are expected to press a button on the assignments tab saying turned in. Now, the little monkeys amongst them press turned in sometimes when it's not actually done. So please, if you could, occasionally have a check through some of the comments from the teachers in their chat, and do check that when they say, I've done my homework, look, it's all turned in. Ask them to show you sometimes what have they turned in. Have they just pressed the turned in button, or is it actually done? Is it completed? Is it to a good standard? Would you as a parent think that standard's good? Well done to your child. Do encourage your child to join extracurricular activities and clubs. Other children in the evenings will be talking to their mates at regular school, okay, physical school, and emailing them and asking about homeworks. We do encourage that they talk to each other about homework. It's not cheating. By all means, talk to each other about homeworks. Get the kids to join clubs that are nothing to do with school, where they can have a good laugh and get to know kids in other year groups, different abilities, different backgrounds, different cultures. It's fabulous. And you will find that the children are fab kids. They're all from all over the planet. They're very inclusive. They're very tolerant. They're very interested in each other. And I think it's hugely important. This fosters a sense of belonging, deeper friendships, hugely improves their social skills and positivity about learning. So also, I said it at the beginning, please continue to encourage your child to contribute in class. Now, loads of you are sitting in front of me are the very parents who do that. Oh, Mrs. Tatham, good to see you. Teddy does the most fabulous homework. I've never even seen your child, because he is a child who's marvellous, superb work, always on time, and he watches recordings. Because where are you in the world, Mrs. Tatham?
We're in Jamaica.
So there you go. They're in Jamaica, fabulous family, brilliant work ethic. I want to meet Teddy at the end of the meeting, no pressure. But I would love to see his little face, because he's fab and he works so hard. But brilliant, that'd be great. But please do get the kids to involve themselves in every aspect of learning. One of the most important things with online learning, and I think you'll be aware of this as parents, is that as teachers, we are very much wanting to assess your child's ability in class. Now, children can access learning, they can access answers on the internet, they can Google exams and they can Google answers and they can cheat. All right, that's fact. That's the world over. That'll happen when they go to university. But what I'm saying to you is, if you encourage your child to answer questions in class, we as staff will know by the answers that they give roughly what level that child is at anyway. And that will help us hugely to ascertain what kind of level on the curriculum your child's at, and to kind of weigh that against the homework that's coming in and get a proper balanced idea of how well your child is actually achieving in school. If we rely wholly on homework and your child sits there mute, very polite, doing nothing, interacting nil, with the best will in the world, we'll be guessing roughly based on the homework, your child's on an A. And I'll say, your child's on an A, Mrs. Anderson. And you'll say, oh, that's great. They're A star for everything. And then I'll say, but I don't really know much about your child. Well, luckily, I know loads about your family in the chat beautifully, and it's fabulous. And I know an awful lot about how wonderful they are. But not every child's like your child. So I would encourage the children to speak please in lessons and give us the best chance as educators to get to know your child and really to know what level they're at. Okay, and the final thing, and this is huge because we could all do this as adults too. Let's look at time management skills. Especially when they're young, the L1 and 2 kids struggle at first. They've come from prep or primary school and they're trying to stay on task with their subjects, and they're finding it quite difficult because they want to play in the evening, they want to switch off, they want to go and have their tea. I would encourage all of the time, and I've got a kid in year 7 at physical school, and I get it. They want to do stuff online with their friends. They want to go and kick a football. They want to do whatever they want to do. But the time management skills, if they hone those in L1 and L2, by the time they start the GCSEs and they know homework's coming on Monday, crack on, do some on Monday night. It'll not build up. I really think they need to get a handle on that and to understand, yes, you have to perhaps suffer for an hour after you finish the school day, have something to eat, chill out for a bit, but get it done because it'll build up. And the thing is, online, whilst you're saying it's great, they've got one-to-one, they can talk to the teachers, we're also on their backs 24/7 because we can at any point say, but you still haven't done your homework, Billy. Billy, I can see you haven't done it. So you press turned in, you haven't done it. And within a second, email mum. So it works both ways. We're there to support, but equally, if they're not doing what they should be doing, we're also there to encourage and push their child to be the best they can be and to work the hardest and be most efficient person they can be.
Wow.
Okay.
Đấy là chuẩn bị.
Did somebody mute their mic, please? That'd be fab. So partnership with parents is crucial to success, obviously, and those that are sitting there obviously are working with this in any case, so appreciated. You'll have a Teams login. You can check your child's studies. You can look in the assignments. Don't just, when they say, look, I've done all my assignments, they're all turned in, go and check what they've actually done. That'd be fab, because all too often the teachers are saying, yeah, you press turned in and there's nothing there. And they're like, oh, it's just Teams, it hasn't worked. Sometimes that's true. And I can vouch, sometimes that is true. Sometimes they're having a laugh. Sometimes they're pulling the wool over your eyes and our eyes, and they need the extra weekend. If they need extra time, I'd rather say, Mrs. G, I haven't finished. Can I have an extra week? And I'll say, yeah, of course. There's no problem, but we need to know where we're standing and they need to know where they're standing. And that's the backbone of it. It's got to be a trusting relationship where everybody's speaking the same language. And I've found with my L4s, being straight with them, kids don't cheat in exams. If kids need extra time, they're straight with me and I give them extra time. We're here to work together to make a success for your child. This matters hugely. You can go and watch the lessons, see how your kid's performing. You might not want to, like, shoot me now, I've just been a full day at work, I've got to go and put the tea on and do everything that parents have to do, but you can. And you wouldn't be able to do that if they were at physical school. You can check their grades, revision checklists, regular communication with teachers, heads of section. So we're here for you. And there's lots of different things that you can do to assess your child's ability and how your child's doing too, and help feed in. If you think a bit of homework was below par, have a word with your kid, because we probably think that too. But we do talk to them, and you'll know that a lot of you teachers, me particularly, I can't speak to other teachers, but I'm constantly sending a little message, hey, don't forget you've got that bit of homework, or you've missed that, can you catch up, please? And the kids do, and they appreciate that. So you've got like double parenting, you're all backed up a bit, and I think that must give you a bit of confidence as well. So expectations, the kids need to be punctual. We give a 5-minute warning. You've got 5 minutes to get into class, otherwise they're late, and that'll be registered as a late in the register. If they don't turn up, we register that straight away online in the staff room saying this kid should be here, they're not, in case there's an issue. We've got to protect children, and that's one of the things we're very aware of, who's there and who's not there. If you miss lessons, they've got to catch up. They've got to watch the recording, hopefully before the next lesson if possible. If it's not possible because they're poorly, as soon as possible. But talk to your staff. Say, can I have a week, please, to get back on my feet? I've had COVID, I'm not feeling well. We get that, but you've got to communicate and encourage them to communicate with us. It makes your life easier and it gives them social skills. Contribute to their learning, complete all homework within the deadline. If not, if they know they're going to fail the deadline, they've got a fencing competition, fine, let me know. Let us know. Communicate with your teachers. Nobody's going to be tough on you. People want you to achieve in all aspects of your life, and that's why they're on online school, because they've got other stuff going on. Just communicate. Time management, time management, time management. I think we could all learn from that. Get a balance. Equally, you've been on screen all day. Go out, go and kick a football, go swimming, go for a run. Get off the screen for a bit. Be proactive. Develop that part of you. We're not scary. We're a team. So please be proactive. Talk to your teachers. Make sure that they know what's going on in your life. Share something of your life with us so that we know the background. If something's going on at home and you're like, oh, my kids are, they're okay, they're going to school still, but something's happened, something tragic's happened, something happy's happened, the family have come from the other part of the planet to visit you, tell us that too. We can look at homeworks, we can look at extensions. We're here to meet the needs of you and your children. But please help support us to get it right for them. Do encourage them to take all opportunities that are offered. Every opportunity is a chance to learn something that perhaps they didn't think they could do. They're a bit scared. Perhaps they don't like drama and they're frightened. They don't like the public forum. Best to do it online. Try it out here. Children will have talents they don't even know that they've got until they try different activities. So please encourage them to take part and make friends across the key stages. And the final thing, to show respect, courtesy, understanding. We expect basic manners, that they're tolerant to each other, that they're kind and loving and respectful towards each other, because you get out what you put in. And if you're kind, you'll have friendships. We've got kids meeting up over the summer from all over the planet. It's wonderful. But you wouldn't have that unless you fostered an environment where children felt they were safe and they could get to know each other without being judged, by being accepted for exactly who they are. Okay. Would you like me to continue, or anybody would like to step in? Should I keep going? It's fine.
Shall I mention what's happening with our enrichment?
Please,
Is
that would
that
be
right?
fabulous. Yeah, if you'd like
Yeah,
to.
yeah. So we've started quite a few things this year that we want to encourage the children to start young, to become quite academic and just find their passion and have the space to grow with that. So we have a very regular Oxbridge and Russell um, group of young people that I meet in the sixth form. So I'm talking about things now that you can think about, well, if my child is doing GCSEs here, this is the way we're going into the sixth form. That's worked out really well. This year we had 3 interviews at Oxford and Cambridge. This year we've got 1 offer, which, given our small sixth form, that's pretty brilliant. That's a higher success rate than the last very prestigious public school I worked at. So our kids do well. We now have a library, and again, we'd like that to grow. Uh, it's a common fact, research bears it out, that the more children read, the better they do in school, and the more connections they can make between subjects. Because of that, we've brought together a few new events under the title Think Big. Now, if I change that into something you might be familiar with, if you know the UK system, it's sort of a gifted and talented program. But my philosophy is to open that out to everyone in any school. The government would say the top 5% are gifted and talented. There will be 5% of children that are really, really smart. Well, that may well be true. But in my experience, there will be about 20 to 25% of a school that will really benefit from and want to take part in activities that will stretch them. And before you know it, it's like a ship in a wake. You turn the whole school down a direction of being excited about learning. So, as part of our Think Big series, we have our lecture series. That happens on a Thursday at 4:30. Everything happens on Thursday at 4:30, which you're welcome to come along to with external speakers. We have our big talk, and for example, last week we had our 2 students in lower fifth, which is actually lower sixth, which is actually L5 in our school. They are applying to one to Oxford, one to Cambridge this year. So they both gave talks on the law on Thursday. You can watch them on our YouTube channel. They were absolutely brilliant. So this comes from the philosophy of, you get children to deliver a talk, they learn so much more than they ever thought they would. They gain in confidence. Before you know it, they're talking like mini TED speakers. The Big Book Club is just to get kids looking at possibly books that will stretch them, seminal texts. So this month, because we're tying in with the theme of the law, they're looking at the Secret Barrister. We have a new PPE society, which, for those of you who don't know, that's philosophy, politics, and economics. and it's going down a storm in the sixth form. Again, we've got L4 students keen to take part in this too. Debating society is fantastic for stretching children, and we've got children in all year groups taking part in that. The big chat is a chance for students to have a look at some articles on a topic. So it's a bit like not quite like a symposium, but it's a bit like a seminar. A bit like you would get a one-to-one tutorial if you were at a really good Russell Group or Oxbridge University. So you look at a few articles before you come together, and then you can talk from a place of being informed rather than from just off the top of your head. We give guidance on careers, which we'll talk about in a bit, because I think Mrs. Knight's going to go over the options, which is an exciting part of the evening. And we also encourage students to take part in national and international competitions, which is why some of your children are in a maths seminar at the moment on how to enter the Teddy Maths essay competition from St Edmund's Hall at Oxford. We've also got another competition this week from the John Locke Society. So yeah, we have lots on offer for your children. We want to keep them busy, and they seem to love it. They seem to keep coming. Please encourage them to come to Think Big, and the lecture series in particular, because you know, I pay people to come and talk. Not everyone, but they are really exciting speakers, and it's just wonderful that they're willing to share their time with your children. You can see the full selection on the website who we've had already. I'm going to hand over to Mrs. Knight.
Actually, this one is more just for reference. So do you mind moving just one slide forward, Kitty?
Yes, of course.
Thank you. Hi, so my name is Mrs. Knight, and I am the head of upper school here at Cambridge Homeschool Online. So I will be, if you decide that your children are going to join the upper school, I will be looking after your babies in level 3 and 4. So I just wanted to give you a bit of an idea, I guess, of the IGCSE courses that are available here at this school, and there's just a huge number of them, actually, far more than you'd get at a physical school. So these are the subjects that are on offer on the screen, and I think, you know, what's really unique about this school compared to a physical school is that there are less restrictions, I guess, in terms of what students can choose. So there's not the traditional kind of like grouping of subjects where they have to choose certain things. You know, they really are able to choose the subjects that they enjoy. And that's great, because it means that we can kind of create much more bespoke, much more tailored timetables, really, that suit your children's interests. And hopefully, because they can choose lots of the subjects they enjoy, the idea is that that will bring lots of success. So yes, so these are the subjects that are on the screen now. And I've just got a little bit of guidance, really, just in terms of choosing subjects. I mean, we're going to be talking to your children lots over the coming months about choosing subjects, and, you know, having meetings with parents and things like that. But just kind of to give you some sort of idea of our rough guidance, really, in terms of choosing. Well, first of all, as I mentioned, they will have meetings with their success coaches. Students will also be talking to heads of section who will go through the choices available with them, have, you know, big discussions about kind of their pathways and where they want to go with all of this. And also discussions will take place with parents as well over the next couple of months. What will really be taken into account as well is their capacity to kind of balance their academic subjects with extracurricular commitments, because we have loads of students at this school who are just absolutely amazing, and they, you know, have loads of extracurricular commitments. You know, they're like musicians or dancers, or so actually all of those things need to be taken into account when choosing subjects and thinking about how many as well, you know, students can take on. And that kind of brings me on to my next point, because We advise that students really commit to a maximum of 9 GCSE courses. It is enough. It is a solid number. It is accepted by all of the top universities. That is recognised as a great number of GCSE courses. There are a few exceptions, where students want to take additional maths in preparation for further maths at A-level and things like that. But in general, we sort of say, 9 is a good number. It's impressive, but it also means that you're not spreading yourself too thin. And I think that's really important, actually. So that's kind of, you can do less, but that's kind of what we think is, the max. And I guess the top priority, when students are thinking about choosing their subjects, is to just choose subjects that they enjoy, and that they're good at, because that's ultimately what brings success. If they're enjoying the courses and they really get into it, that's what brings the good grades at the end of it. So subjects that they enjoy, subjects that they feel confident in, that's like my biggest advice, really. And in order to sort of move on to A-level, if we're sort of thinking about grades, just a little bit of kind of information as well. Pupils need to achieve, so external candidates need to achieve really sort of a 7 or the equivalent of an A at GCSE to get into the A-level course. But for internal applicants, obviously, there might be a bit more discussion, and we can kind of look at that on an individual basis. And that's kind of like the guidance. I don't know, Kitty, if you wanted to do this one, and also potentially Maria, if you wanted to talk about the EBAC as well.
Absolutely no problem. So as parents, you're probably sitting there saying, right, and a lot of you will have had older kids going through school and some may not. So how do you do it? You do need to look at their strengths and weaknesses. If they've got clear ideas and you've got a child who's known since 4 that they want to be an astrophysicist, okay, you know where you're going. You've got to talk and look through these kinds of questions and think, yes, do everything that they enjoy, but have I got a balance? And I think Mrs. Trafford will say more about the EBAC there and looking at a balance of subjects, because I'm just going to do art, music, bit of cooking, within reason. Let's get a grip here. They still need the English and maths to go on and do A-level, really. You need to get your basics in those subjects. Sciences, some children say, but I really don't like this science and I like these two. Well, in physical school, know that all children have to study all of the sciences to GCSE, but not the entire curriculum. But all we offer at Cambridge, because we get higher level students by and large, is that you do the whole syllabus. So you'd get full GCSE in biology, chemistry, and physics. Now, we have children that just do 2 of the 3. And that's okay, but I wouldn't suggest doing less than 2 personally to get on to a university. We do teach higher level, which is called supplementary on the Cambridge GCSE. It's the equivalent of a higher paper. All right, so that's the level we teach to at this online school. If you've got a child who's being taught higher and hates some subjects, but they know they've got to do them, know that when you enter your child, and you get more information about this from Mrs. Trafford in a minute, you can enter your child for a core level paper, a lower level paper, just to get the C or the level 6, the 5 or 6 that they need to then say, I've ticked that box. I never liked that subject. I'm going to go down the arts route or the science route. That's okay too. So yes, pick what they like. Yes, know where their strengths and weaknesses are. If your child's a dyslexic child and they struggle with essay writing, don't pick all of the humanities, pick one. Because you're going to have to do essays in the English in any case. I wouldn't do history or everything, politics, all the things that require long essays and they're slow at them and they're struggling. Get a balance. Make it so your child achieves. Give them something fun that they enjoy doing. Yes, get the basics there, and talk to them. And I think unless your child has got very clear ideas, and how many 12, 13-year-olds really do, not many, keep it broad, keep it jolly. If there's something they really don't like, obviously listen to them, because if they really don't like it, they could dig their toes in and not achieve as well online, and you're wasting your time with that in any case. But I think the balance that Mrs. Knight was talking about, 9 subjects is plenty. Once you've got your A-levels and you're doing your A-levels, who says, oh, what did you get in your GCSEs? Nobody cares anymore. Okay, you've got to keep moving with the times. And so you really are box ticking, but make sure the boxes that you're ticking are things that are enjoyable to your child, that where they can achieve alongside enjoying. Okay. Let's see what the next slide brings.
Yeah, I think I'll just jump in for 2 seconds to
Mrs.
say
Trafford, thank you.
you can get a little bit carried away with our subject selection because lots of physical schools limit your GCSE choice options. So you wouldn't find, for example, even at top independent schools in this country, you will not find economics GCSE, psychology GCSE, sociology GCSE, even business sometimes is left off the GCSE options list. Yeah, you've got such a broad spectrum there. You could get a bit carried away and think, oh gosh, just do them all and then see what you like and go on to do A level. If I could give you a little bit of advice, I mean, I am biased towards psychology. I did it at university, I adore it. But the thing that is really important with that particular career choice, etc., is actually maths and biology. They're the most helpful GCSEs in order to study psychology. You've got to do advanced statistics. You've got to know your maths. So if you were humming and hawing, you can do psychology A level without doing the GCSE. So just
Bear
check
that in
up.
mind. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll mention to you very briefly about the EBAC. The UK government, and we are a UK-based school, recommends that children just to have a broad spectrum and keep their options open, that they follow an English baccalaureate if they are academic. And the English baccalaureate, I can give you a link later on so you can have a look at it for yourself. But it essentially consists of English language and literature. Now, if your child is not an English cats know, don't they? They know when you're trying to concentrate. If your child is not a native English speaker, um, they will struggle with English literature. Not everyone, but they will struggle if they're not readers, if they haven't been looking at English newspapers, etc. Then it's not for them. Maths is on the English back. The three sciences is on the English back. Then they want young people to do humanities, one humanities at least. So geography or history is down there, but our other humanities subjects here are sociology, economics, etc. You've got a broader choice. And then a language also. We offer Latin, French, and Spanish in this school. We are also, I'm very excited to announce here for the first time, I don't think it's on the website yet, going to have a new A level in classical studies in
Yeah.
2023, starting for our L5 students. So, there are pathways. So don't, again, ask us, talk about things, talk to Mrs. Knight and Mrs. Greaves, who is the success coach in L2 at the moment, about potential subjects at A level. Don't just drop Latin because you think it's got no pathway. It does have a pathway, and it's often got a very quick and easy pathway into Cambridge or Oxford if that's what lights your fire, because 50% of students who apply to the university to do classic civilization, usually get an offer. Yeah, I thought I would just give you that little bit of advice on the EBAC. There we
I'm
go.
not sure if we mentioned as well, so the psychology and the music courses, they're not IGCSEs. So those are actually only UK based. So that's something as well to consider when you're looking at the options. You can't take the music and the psychology course if you're based outside of the UK. So I just didn't want you guys to sort of waste time thinking about those courses if that is your situation. But yes, those ones would have to be taken in the UK, so that's something to consider as well.
I'm sorry we've been talking at you for so long, but this is quite
No.
an important little bit of information, and then I promise we'll stop talking and you can ask us questions. It, the school is not an exam centre. We provide an education, but we can't, by dint of the fact we don't have a physical building, um, enroll your children to exams, and therefore you have to find a registration exam centre of your own. What we can do is make sure that you have the correct information, like the exam bodies, the codes, the details that you need to enroll your child accurately, and I can check those for you. We can point you in the right direction in terms of sticking to a timetable. So you'll get news from me saying, look, please let me know who you've enrolled with, where are you registered, you need to make it by this deadline or the price goes up. There is other information that you need to be aware of if you feel that your child needs special arrangements. So special arrangements might be brought in if your child requires extra time for a neurodiverse condition or a physical condition. But that's a process that needs to be started quite early on. We can give you a discount with a partner company that's new this year with tutors and exams. I think it's a 10% discount. I can't remember off the top of my head whether that changes for A level or GCSE. And we can also confirm any access arrangements that we have provided for your child in school. So if they've been working on a laptop, then I can write to the exams officer and confirm that. If they've been having extra time in our mock assessments, I can confirm that. What I can't do is write a letter saying, yes, they have dyslexia, therefore they need the extra time. So actually, if you go on to the next slide, you'll see there's quite a lot that as parents you need to be aware of to make sure that you are checking and registering. Now, before I just throw all of that at you, what I'm going to do, I have agreed with Dr. Page, your head teacher, is create a video for you explaining how to register for the exams, because I feel that this can be a headache, especially if your language isn't your first language isn't English, especially if you're not familiar with the English system. We've come up with all sorts of interesting problems this year that we couldn't have foreseen. Things have happened in Myanmar to change the situation there for children looking for exam centres. They've happened in Qatar also this year out of the blue. There's always a way around it, but I think we need to forewarn you and start the process early. So I want to start the process of you thinking about an exam centre in level 2. In level 2, so before you commit to level 3 and 4, there are ways that you can check in advance that there are exam centres offering a place for your children. They're called private candidates, your children. You can contact local independent schools, sixth form colleges, etc. But buyer beware. Some schools do charge more than others, so do ask for their prices. There is a cost to this. If you need to, you can contact the British Council. They've been very good with lots of our parents in finding an exam centre in far-flung corners of the world. Just make sure you register by the deadline. Make sure that assessments for special educational needs are done well in advance. And by that, I mean 2 years in advance, because you're far more likely to get what you want if you have already got arrangements in place in the school that they're working in.
Can I just be in there, Mrs. Trafford, for 1 second?
Yeah.
In terms of the special exam arrangements, if your child has got dyslexia or whatever it is, or dyspraxia, or whatever it might be that your child has, do bear in mind when you get your child tested, you need to have that information from the tester, the person, the diagnostic test. It's gonna, if you can time it right, it can last through the GCSEs and the A levels. If you time it badly and you do it too soon, you might have to get it done again before the May exams for A level. I'm just bear that in mind, because they do play that game on access arrangements as well. Sorry, Mrs. Trafford, after.
Yeah, no, you're welcome. If you move on to the next slide, I think I just put down a little, just frequently asked questions about what terminology means in nomenclature. An examining centre is simply a school. Your children are classed as private candidates. The exam boards, in case you don't know, there's only one in Scotland, the Scottish Qualification Authorities, but in England there are 4 or 5 different exam boards. So you need to know the name of the exam board. And if you go back to that slide, ma'am. Sorry, forward. That's it. Yeah, FAQs. No, that's okay. Don't worry. What we will do is we'll make sure all of this information is available for you on the website. You will have the PowerPoint. You'll have the recording of the meeting. There's just a little map there of where in the UK you can enroll at the tutors and exam centres. They're dotted all over England. There's one in Northern Ireland as well. We do have children coming over from the States who are going to come and stay with family in various parts of England, coming over from Europe. Parents have just decided that's the easiest way to do it. They're going to enroll a local exam centre in this country and just sit all the exams here. That can work for you. If you can make that work, it's a really good option, and possibly a more straightforward option for you. Okay, right, let's take questions, ladies. I can already see a hand up there.
Okay. Who is it? Is it Anastasia?
Yes. Hello,
Hello,
can you
hello.
hear me?
Yes,
Hello.
we can.
Sorry,
Yes.
camera not working. But I wanted to ask just to clarify about the music. I'm not sure what you call it, but the first time you talked about it, I understood that the only difference is that for the music exams, one needs to be in the UK. But then when Mrs. Knight spoke about it, she said, if I understood correctly, that you need to be in the UK to take it. Now, which one is it?
Yes, in the UK to take the exam.
Only to take the exam, but we can follow the course.
Yes.
Whilst living wherever, we might end up living.
Yeah. We have students living elsewhere in not in the UK, doing their music and doing their composition, their performance, etc. It's all happening as it would do in a UK school, and then they have to sit their written papers in the UK.
Okay, great. Thank you very much for clarifying. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is it Bo's dad? You're on mute, my dear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In terms of the discussions with the teachers ahead of next year, will they give you specific feedback around topics or subjects that the pupils are maybe particularly good at and which they should take, and those that they shouldn't take?
Yeah, you're coming in at a good time, because you will get a report at the end of this term, giving you grades and effort, and that will be a nice sort of backdrop for a discussion with your child. In school, your child will have a one-to-one interview with their success coach also, and round about June, Mr. Boylan will be getting itchy feet and wanting to put the timetable together, and we create the timetable to suit the demand. So we will be asking you and your children to make some options in summer term.
Okay. Do you have any more questions?
Yeah.
Sorry, another question. I think, and you mentioned this towards the start of the presentation. If you wanted to split, maybe doing certain GCSEs one year and certain GCSEs the following year, how would that work?
You'd have to pay for the third year. but then it would give your child the advantage of doing half of the GCSEs in L4, whilst dropping back with those that they've done less well on in L3, repeating L3 with a new group of children. So you'd have your old group in L4, the new group in L3, and you could do them again. And I've got a kid at the moment who's repeating, having struggled a little bit with the science math side because she's arty, and she's doing brilliantly. And she's actually benefited because she was quite young in the year. She needed that. And she's more confident and well-rounded in those subjects. She'll get A's in those subjects this year. So, it was to her advantage.
One thing to bear in mind is if you're planning on a highly competitive course like medicine or dentistry or university, they do like one exam diet. So all the GCSEs sit in one sitting, all the A levels in one sitting. We do have a boy this year who's just received a really decent offer at a good Russell Group university for engineering, but he was turned down by another two because he was doing his A levels over 3 years. He'd sat them before, hadn't passed them, was resitting them, but he's done the right thing because he actually has now he will come out with a much better set of results. And
would that be the same even if you were doing them earlier than expected? So if you were ahead of your peers and you were maybe doing a couple of GCSEs ahead of the bulk of the rest, with that same kind of you wouldn't want that to be a negative, right? Because you were bright enough to do some early. That
it's not a negative. Often the high flying kids do maths early and then do further maths later. Early is okay, but after it might have been because the kid's been sick, and at the end of the day, better to get all your GCSEs than not. But by and large, if you've done them earlier rather than later, you're not going to get any hassle. I think that's fine. It's additional.
Thank you.
Okay, I did in the chat upload I can't even see it now, and I've lost my mind slightly. The EBAC, sorry, the information about EBAC. So if afterwards you want to have a look and see what the government says about EBAC subjects and how to balance and weight things, there's a bit of extra information there. And as Mrs. Trafford kindly said, we will be uploading this video, and you can have a look at it again. And if there's any further questions, afterwards, as soon as we end the meeting, there'll be 20 questions. That's fine. Please do get in touch. Okay, thank you very, very much for your time. If there's anything else, please hang around at the end. That's fine. But please know that we'll be in contact soon, and we'll upload the information you need.
Mrs. Graham?
Yes.
Sorry, could I just say one thing? As you know, Amis is doing her last set of mocks this week.
Yes.
And I think it's important to tell you because you may not be aware, and the other parents listening, even though Amis is taking hers a year early.
Yes.
I've been absolutely amazed by her classmates because all the revision has been amazing. They've had amazing support from the teachers, but they get together and the kids and they organise times that's convenient for them in their time zones, and they're together and doing hours basically of revision and running it by each other and who understands it slightly better, and it's been absolutely incredible. And if you're not aware of that, I just wanted to tell you that we just thought that was absolutely amazing, and we're really impressed.
Yeah, it's huge. They've done that from the beginning. They're an amazing bunch of kids, and you've got the kids that are real high flyers, and you've got the kids who are doing really, really well, but they're all pulling each other up all of the way through, and they are doing that. And they said, Mrs. G, we need more hours. And I said, it's okay, I'll fit you in. And the teachers are fitting them in, and they're fitting each other in. And in the evenings, they sound like really swotty children. They are, but they're helping each other. It's not selfish. They're pulling each other up all of the way. Some kids are making their own revision notes and they're sharing them. They're not saying, oh, I'm going to achieve, pull the ladder up. They're helping each other. They're sharing all the resources. Oh, I've done all of the end of topic tests for units 1 to 9. Here, I've put them in the chat. These children are class children. They're helping each other. I'm very incredibly proud of them. They know I am, and they know that we're there for them all the way through. And I say in the holidays, the weekend, I don't care. Get in touch if you're frightened. If something worries you, speak to us. We're here for you. That's the joy. You don't have to wait till Monday morning with the child who's freaking on Sunday night. They can talk to us over the weekend. It matters, but they've got each other's back too. And I think that's a credit to them, but also you as parents. They wouldn't be like that unless you were fab, would they? I mean, honestly, it's the truth. It is the truth. You're lovely people. Okay, thank you for that, though, Mrs. Anderson. You're a darling. Monique, please.
Yeah, I have a question. So
Yeah.
I'm second Nina's mom, and my question is I think that for just seeing what she was saying, I'm not sure I think she has a girl, but I find that the girls tend to get together and study and chat and do revision together. Like Nina does, she chats with me. So my son is like, boys don't get together and boys don't have anything, or there's nobody kind of pulling these boys together so that they can study and do revision and things like that together, because you only see, even if you go to these the social room and everything, it's mostly all girls.
There are boys.
Yeah, I would say it comes later as well.
Yeah.
Because in lower sixth, in level 5, sorry, my goodness, they're amazing, some of those boys. But maybe with boys it comes just a little bit later. Sorry for jumping in there.
I think that's important. I do know that level L4 boys are joining the meetings, but maybe we could look at that, and I'll have a word with them, because when I talk to the kids, they will tell the truth and they'll say what's needed, and maybe they need one of the girls to lead that and say to get that sorted. But thank you for telling us. I'll have a look at that, Monique, and get back to you.
Just say that Amis.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
There have been boys with Amis as well, and there have been, I think, A-level students as well helping out, coming in at weekends and evenings. So I've heard male voices frequently. So that's certainly not been an issue with Amis this year.
Thank you. Okay, but it was a good point, Monique.
With the boys, like we live between France. I mean, we do spend some time in the UK, but we're between France and America a lot of the time, which is why we're in the school. So we're completely different time zones as well. Like right now, we're in Florida. We've been in Florida for the past 5 months. So the kids are actually waking up at 3:45 a.m. every morning to do the 5 lessons.
Right.
In the school.
That will make it harder, granted. But we have got children in the L4 group that Mrs. Anderson's talking about. So one of them's in Venezuela, and it's not handy. And we have got children being a bit nocturnal at times. But it's preparation for the mocks, and children, if they're prepared and they want to work in a team, the forum's there. And it might be slightly inconvenient, but children sleep at odd hours anyway at that age, don't they? And they do seem to work around that. I think it's a benefit, though, Monique. Okay. Monique, who are you the parent of, please? Just because I didn't catch that.
Zach and Nina
and Zachary Fisher.
Got you. Right. Okay. Just so I'm aware.
It's not always in the rooms and the social rooms, and with she's got friends that she connects with, that she goes over through the homework with and things like that. So for Nina, it's been a journey, not necessarily so much for Zach, for my son.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. We'll have a look at that and see if there isn't something we could do. Where are you at the moment? You said you're in Florida at the moment, so if we could get somebody that side of the Atlantic at a similar time zone, that might help.
Yeah, that'd be great. We're actually coming back. We're coming back to the UK on the 25th.
Okay.
And then they have, I think, they've got the first part of their IGCSE exam, the first part of the speaking section for French GCSE on April 17th, which is great because the people from the actually gave us a tutor. I don't know why, but like they said when French IGCSE, they give you a tutor that actually calls the kids and make sure they're prepared to even take the exam.
That's
I don't know if you
fabulous.
guys know that.
No, I
Yeah.
wasn't aware
So
of
that's
that, to
actually
be
been
fair.
really good.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you. Sorry, Monique, your
I'm a-
signal's not great, Monique. I'm sorry, you keep breaking up. I'm not fully following what you're saying. But if you'd like to email any of these things, I'll be hugely grateful.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you.
Thanks, Monique. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, is there anything else from any of you? You all had enough. We killed you off a little bit. Okay, thank you so much for your time. We'll be in touch.
Thanks very much. Cheers.
Thank you very much indeed. Take care, Mr. Ballard.
Thank you. Lovely to see you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Is Teddy about, Mrs. Tatham? Where's Teddy? I want to see Teddy.
Thank you.
He's not with me here.
Doesn't matter. Send him my love. I think of him.
Thank
He
you.
shares the same name as my little boy, so he must be fabulous too. Take care, Mrs. Tatham. Thank you. Mrs. Anderson, Mr. Anderson, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye, Mr. Pop,
Bye.
Mrs. Pop, thank you.
Same,
Bye-bye.
likewise. Bye-bye.
Bye, my
And
love.
thank
Bye-bye.
you. Yeah, thank you. Right, I shall stop recording.
Thank you so much.
Hopefully be able to save this somewhere good for everybody.